the silent battle of minds. In a quiet corner of a dimly lit room, two figures sat across from each other, their eyes locked not on each other but on the checkered battlefield between them. The air was thick with tension, the kind that could only be forged in the crucible of a high-stakes chess game. Each move was a whisper, a subtle declaration of intent, and every piece sacrificed was a calculated risk. The clock ticked mercilessly, each second a reminder that time was as much an enemy as the opponent across the board. One of the players, a seasoned veteran, leaned back in his chair, his fingers steepled in thought. He had been here countless times before, in positions where the weight of the game pressed down on his shoulders. He recalled the words of Bobby Fischer. "I don't believe in psychology. I believe in good moves." It was a mantra he lived by. No amount of intimidation or mind games could sway him. The board was his world, and in that world, only logic and precision mattered. He made his move, a quiet yet devastating pawn push that shifted the balance of power. His opponent's brow furrowed, sensing the trap but unable to avoid it. The game was far from over, but the veteran knew that in chess, as in life, the best moves were often the simplest. The Art of War on 64 squares. The chessboard was a canvas, and the pieces were the brushes with which the players painted their masterpieces. Every game was a story, a narrative woven through strategy, sacrifice, and foresight. For Anatoly Karpov, chess was not just a game. It was an expression of the human spirit. Chess is everything: art, science, and sport, he once said. And in this particular game, the artistry was on full display. The young prodigy across from him moved with a fluid grace, his pieces dancing across the board as if choreographed. Karpov, ever the tactician, admired the beauty of his opponent's play even as he sought to dismantle it. The game was a delicate balance of attack and defense, each move a brushstroke that added depth to the unfolding masterpiece. As the game progressed, the tension mounted, and the spectators leaned in, captivated by the unfolding drama. Karpov's queen swept across the board, a bold stroke that threatened to end the game in a blaze of glory. But the prodigy was ready, his counter-move a quiet yet brilliant riposte that left the grandmaster nodding in silent approval. The sacrifice that shook the board. The clock was ticking, each second echoing like a drumbeat in the silent arena. The player with the white pieces sat motionless, his eyes fixed on the board, his mind racing through a storm of calculations. The position was tense, a tangled web of threats and counter-threats, but he could feel it. There was a path to victory, hidden in the chaos. His opponent, a formidable tactician, had built a fortress around his king, his pieces coiled like a snake ready to strike. But the player with white knew that sometimes, to break a fortress, you had to tear it down from within. With a deep breath, he reached for his rook, the most powerful piece on the board aside from the queen. The spectators leaned in, their whispers fading into silence as they realized what was about to happen. In one swift, decisive motion, he sacrificed the rook, slamming it into the heart of his opponent's defense. The room erupted in gasps. It was a brutal, audacious move, one that seemed reckless at first glance. But as the dust settled, the brilliance of the sacrifice became clear. The rook's demise had opened lines for his remaining pieces, unleashing a torrent of attacks that his opponent could not withstand. The queen and bishop surged forward like a tidal wave, their combined force overwhelming the Black King's defenses. His opponent fought valiantly, scrambling to counter the onslaught, but it was too late. The sacrifice had shattered the balance of the game, and the player with white pressed his advantage with ruthless precision. Finally, with a quiet yet devastating move, he delivered checkmate. The crowd erupted in applause, but the player remained seated, staring at the board, a faint smile playing on his lips. He had gambled everything on that one move, and it had paid off.